There you are. Okay.
There.
Okay, gotcha.
Let me go back to that real quick. Sorry about that. All right, so you're gonna decide if you want a host kit, okay? You're gonna have the option of using your free host kit a week after you earn it. It'll show up in your credit section. All right, so you can decide if you want to do that. Now, a host kit is $99 for a host, and it includes 6 bottles of wine, and that's either our California collection or our Vintner collection. So pretty much the bottles that are $25 and $20. If you decide you want a reserve bottle, you just pay the difference for that, and it's usually like $10, something like that, if you're picking like a $35 bottle. You will sell what you bring to the party. So think about that. I do always encourage my hostesses to upgrade 1 bottle at least to a reserve. And for me personally, I usually always tell them to pick the Edna Valley Pinot Noir because that's my favorite. And that's a part of my why story. So I like to have that one available to show. It's a delicious Pinot Noir if you haven't tried it. So you are going to, what's cool about this is that either you can place the order or you can send your hostess the link so that they can order their own wine. Now, if you have a credit for 6 bottles, you're not going to be paying that $99, but if you don't, they will pay for it. You're not going to pay for it, okay? You're only going to pay for the host kit is if it's your own party, okay? Now, you absolutely can use wine that you have on hand. Whenever I do get host kits, I like to offer them as free events to potential hosts, and that's how I book as many events as I do. So it's always nice that you have that opportunity to offer a free host kit out. So when you do earn your 6-bottle host kit as a new CE, think about using it for a tasting, because that will only expand your business, okay? Now, your hostesses will pay that money up front, the $99 up front. And the way that you kind of think about that, I don't really ever have an objection to my hostesses paying for that. But if they do, then I want you to kind of think about, if you were to have your own party, would you have to pay for the alcohol? And the answer is yes. Okay, so usually if they know that the event is giving back, they know the event is an event that they'd have to buy alcohol for anyway, they don't mind paying for that. You will tell them too that at the end of their event, as long as it's $500 or more, they do get 10% back to spend. So if you think about it, if you have a $1,000 event, which is totally possible, if you have 10 guests who each order an average of $100 each, your party will be $1,000, okay? Which means they're going to get $100 in host credit and wine credit to spend at the end. So they will get that back, okay? Lots of times my hostesses will also order wine toward their party, and that will bump up their own host rewards and also bump up the total donation being made to the cause that they choose themselves. So they'll get 10% back in wine credit, and then they get 10% back for their fundraiser, the nonprofit that they're raising money for. That check will get delivered from ONEHOPE directly to the nonprofit that they choose, okay? So you don't have to worry about doing that, okay? I always tell my hostesses that I like to have 1 sparkling, 1 sweet white, 1 dry white, maybe a rosé if they're into it. If not, then we skip that. We skip one of those, in there, and then reds. This time of the year, I'm finding that people tend to go a little bit heavier on the white wines, the wines that are refrigerated and cooler, because they're drinking outside. They want something cold to sip on. So it can be any variety. They can pick whatever they want. But if you need recommendations as far as what you want your hostesses to pick, just ask us. I know all the wines pretty much really well at this point, so I can definitely give you some good recommendations. I almost always have people pick the red blend. The Vintner Red Blend is our 96-point award-winning wine, so I always tell people to pick that because it's your good pizza, pasta, barbecue, just everyday house red. Even people who like generally sweet wines will sometimes try that with a brownie and find that they like it. okay? But you do want to have a mixture. Like I know a lot of people will say, oh, I only like sweet wines. Well, what if you have dry wine customers at your party? You want to have a mixture of both, okay? So if the party is heavier on the sweet side, just make sure that you throw in a couple dry wines, just because, you know, you don't want to have that one person or two people at the event who doesn't like anything because you chose to serve all of the same type of wine, okay? The pairing guide to use for suggestions, I said that I had that, and I'd be happy to give you that as well, okay? And then the day of the event, I'm going to show you in your back office where to print this stuff, okay? So you can order catalogs and business supplies, okay? Order forms can be printed, or you can order them. Pens, you can just get them at the dollar store. I know ours are sold out right now in the ONEHOPE business supplies, but you can just get them wherever you want. The wine tasting sheets, those are the wine tasting sheets I'll show you in your back office where they're going to take notes. And I even give these, Erica and I were talking about doing virtual events and party to goes. And I even give the tasting note sheets in those too, so that people can follow along when I'm doing the Zoom chat, okay? If not, a plain piece of paper will work. I always like to bring a shimmer or glitter bottle if you have one on hand because they are awesome. And people will generally purchase those for gifts or even if they just like something glittery themselves. Wine discs or drip-free pours, you got that one of those in your kit, I believe. I personally don't use them because I always like, I don't know, I messed it up when I first started using them. But if you want to use them, you can, or if you have good hand control, you can simply pour. It's like a 1 ounce pour. So you can generally get like 22 to 24 1 ounce pours from one bottle of wine. So keep that in mind. It's generally like 2 sips, 2 to 3 sips is what you're giving them to try. Then at the end of the event, whatever is left over, that's for them. You know, they can feel free to drink whatever they want, okay? You can also make a display board featuring the charity or the preferred customer pricing. I can get you pictures on what that looks like, but it could be like a chalkboard, it could be a sign. There's even signage in your back office you could print for that. What's nice about these types of events is you don't have to arrive early because you're not really bringing anything. The wine gets shipped to the hostess unless you have it on hand. So all you're really showing up with is your business supplies. One tote in and out. Super, super easy. That's what I love about doing this. I used to have my own clothing boutique and that was like an hour to set up at least. So this is in, out, very, very easy. Okay. You want to make sure you remind your hostess to put your whites in your fridge, in their fridge, so that they're chilled. A really cool tip is if you take a wet paper towel and you wrap it around the base of a bottle, you can stick it in the freezer and make sure it's upright. And in about 15 to 20 minutes, that bottle will be chilled. So if they forget, or if you ever get wine that you want to drink immediately, that's a fun tip for how to make your wine really cold, okay? You want to always start with your sparkling, okay? So your lightest wine, your sweetest wine first, then your driest white, then your lightest, driest red, and then like your cabs would be like your bold reds at the end. So you always want to go sweet to dry when you're doing your tasting. The way that you know the order of your tasting menu would be to look at your wine tasting profile menu. And that's that graphic I said that I had. And you can tell by whatever the wine, wherever that wine is in that sheet, where you're going to place it. And if you ever need help trying to figure out where to place your wine, you can always ask, okay? The reason why we do choose a sparkling at the begin with is because it's a great opportunity for you to toast the host. So that's always something nice. A lot of times my hostesses will ask me if, you know, they should have additional wine. Sometimes I would say yes. So if they, because you don't want them like when they first arrive to just jump right into your ONEHOPE wine. You want them to kind of mix and mingle. So lots of times I'll have my guests just, you know, have 1 or 2 bottles, like a red or a white, or maybe they want to have like 1 or 2 bottles of a sparkling wine that their hosts, that their guests can just pick up and drink until you're ready to start. So that's nice. Okay. I'm not going to read this whole script right here because I will repost it back in the team comments, but this gives you exactly what to say. Okay. This is also another version of this document is also in your back office, and I'm going to show you real quick. But it basically tells you, what should you say when you pour, wine number 1. It's right here. Then you're going to talk about ONEHOPE's story, and you're going to pour wine number 2. Okay. Then you might infuse a little bit about our preferred customer program. Pour wine number 3. Okay. Talk about hosting. Wine number 4. Okay. Then share wine number 5. You could share all the 4 ways that they could be a part of ONEHOPE. So attending an event, hosting an event, being a preferred customer, or joining you. Okay. And I like to kind of infuse little stories about each of those things throughout my whole presentation. Okay. Because it's important that they know. I used to wait until the very end of the evening to tell them about being a preferred customer. And what I found was that once people start drinking, it's really hard to be able to explain all this. So I like to tell them the options up front so that it gives them that opportunity to plant the seed of what they want to buy. Okay, so if they know ahead of time that they get a discount on at least 6 bottles, they're going to take notes as you're talking. And if I'm sharing let's say a Prosecco, I'm also going to share about our 3 demi-sec flavored wines while I talk about the Prosecco. I'm going to share about the fact that if they don't like Prosecco, try the sparkling peach because that's our sweetest. I'm going to share about our rosé. I'm going to share about our glitter bottles. Okay, so I do infuse other suggestions as I'm going along. So if you tell them ahead of time, this is how you can get a discount, they're going to be taking notes on their tasting sheet. Okay, so that's going to give you that kind of heads up already that they know what they're doing. And then when you remind them at the end of the party, this is the way that you can save money. They've already started that wish list that they wanted to have. Okay. And then pouring the final event wine of the evening. Okay. I know a lot of people like to set themselves up in a different area in the house. I'm the opposite. I think the best thing you can do is stay in the room personally, only because then you can answer all the little side conversations that are going on around you. If you hear someone say, I like sweet wines, then you can jump in and say, what about this? What about this? Okay. Whereas if you're outside of the room, you're losing all that conversation. So that's just personal preference, but I find that I sell more when I'm in the room. All right. So I am going to stop sharing my screen. And I want to just show you guys before we go off tonight, I want to show you I want to show you the back office real quick. That's not what I want to show you. Hold on, give me 1 second. All right, let me just make sure this is gonna work. Hold on. Here we go, perfect, okay. So here's our dashboard, okay? When you log in, you're going to see this right here where it says good evening. Here's your CEID. So you will need that if you contact home office for any reason, switching orders, any of that. Okay. Your main page, I'm gonna minimize this for a second. Your main page is right here. This one I'm circling where it says copy link. That is what sometimes people will order. If you have someone join your team, you're gonna want them to use your main page right here. But if not, you're gonna want them to use your event link, okay? If by accidentally they order under this main page right here, just contact home office, ONEHOPE support, support at onehopewine.com, and you can have them switch the orders. So here's where your event tab is, okay? It looks different on your phone than it does on the computer, okay? Once you get, let me see, I'll go to my big event right here. So when you see your event right here, this is where you're going to see the wine, and I can edit this. And do you guys see where it says balance 2 free wine tasting credits? This is where your free credit is going to show up. And this is where you're going to say, do you need order wine for this event? Yes, if you do. No, if you don't, okay? The charity right here, you can always edit it with any of the pencil tools right here. So you can change that and edit it, okay? You don't have to set it up right away. Your host rewards, the host will get the rewards when the event is closed, okay? So right here, the promo code will pop up and you can just send that to your hostess. Because right now I have $636.16. So I could copy this when I close the event and then I'll be able to do that. Guest orders are going to be right there. This little plus order button down here is where you can add new orders, or you can do it from the event page. When I ask you guys to send me your event link, this is what I mean. So if I click event page right here, this up here at the very, very top that I just highlighted, that's your event link, okay? Now, if you want to, anything from this point on that I just highlighted, all those random numbers and letters, that can be deleted. And if you want to create a shortened version of your party link, just use the first part, the /, and then when you click your event and go back to it, see the details right here? This is the event ID. The event ID is the ID number. I would just put the 45648 where this was right here. So I would take this and I would go 45648. Now this is a shortened version of my party link. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, cool. All right, so this is all the information you're going to want to need to know. When you're ready to close the event, you're going to click this, close event. And then that's when you're going to see your host credit pop up here, okay? Now, as far as all the materials that you need for an event, this is super simple. You're going to click on, I did that really fast, so I'll go back. You're going to click on resources, okay? And if you are on a phone, it will look different. You'll have 3 lines that appear at the top of your phone in the left-hand corner right here. You'll click those lines and you'll see this black drop-down menu appear, okay? So I'm at the resources page. All this is really awesome information. This is where you're going to find anything that you need to know. But as far as things for your tasting, you're going to want to look at index. Just a little side note, if you ever have a question about anything, go to resources and support, okay? If I click support, I know somebody wanted to know how to set up their profile earlier today. I can click view and update your profile, and this gives me instructions on how to do it. So if you do that first before you ask somebody, you might find the answers right there. All right, so I'm going to click on index. Here's a whole list of downloadable resources, okay? Now, the things that you need to print for your tasting, all right? You can click the Case for Cause table display if you want. You don't have to, but this is just one thing that you could maybe get a dollar store frame, okay? And this just shows you the normal price for being a preferred customer. Right now, it's 15% off of a half case and 30% off of a full case, but normally it's 10 and 20. Okay, so that's why it's important to get people to order this month, because there's an extra discount. So that's one thing that you can print. Some other things that you could print The edible tasting sheet. The edible tasting sheet is your tasting note sheet. Okay, so you can give these to customers, your guests at your party. They'll write the varietal. They can keep track of this and take notes on it just as if they were at a winery. It's pretty cool. And they'll use, I always tell people, use the back of the sheet for any other suggestions that I give you along the way. And that helps too. Okay. Some other cool things that you might want to print. All right, we've got featured wine list. This is awesome. I love having like 2 copies of this printed in color at my party. For those people that are visual learners, this is, I'm talking about like a student here. These are great. Okay, so this list, you can staple this whole thing together, and this is basically like a catalog of wine. All right. You can even X off the things that are out of stock to make it nice and easy. But I do get some people that say this is like the best tool ever because all they have to do is just look at it and pick their wines. And there is no guessing. So sometimes I have like 3 of these stapled together, and little groups will just pass them around. And it's a very, very easy way to shop. Okay, it lists everything by category. All the core collection. So these are all your $20 bottles. That's our core collection of wine. And then you have all your Vintner collection of wine, your $25 here. And then at the end, it gets into reserves. So the featured wine list is awesome. Okay. The next thing I love to print is the lead form. So this has 4 to a sheet, and I cut them up into little pieces. But this is the lead form that I was talking about, that even if I'm doing a virtual tasting, this is what I have my guests text me. But you always want your guests to fill this out because it gives you important information about what they might want to participate in the future. Okay, so I always print a couple of these pages and cut them into 4s, and it's super simple. Okay, let's see. So there's lots of cool things here. The other thing you could do is the open dates calendar. So if you wanted to focus on bookings, what's really cool is you can fill out, print one of these for the next 2 months, take it with you to the party and write wine tasting open, wherever you have open dates. And then you could get people to book them from your open dates. Okay. And then I think the last thing, here's a picture of the order form. So if you don't have these ordered from home office in the business supplies, you could use these. Okay. You don't need the second page, just the first page. So you could print these, and the customer will get a receipt through email. Okay. Or you can put it right in at the party. You can do it right on your phone or take a tablet with you, and you'll be good to go. Okay. I like to put orders in right at the party while I'm sitting there with a customer. All right. Right here where you have photography drive folder, you're going to see some cool images there. And then the social media shareables, you'll see a lot of other images that you might like to use when you're posting things. All right. And the tasting profile menu, I print a couple of these too. This is what I was talking about. I have it in a picture form so that you can text it to people, but this is the PDF form. This is what I was talking about. I like to have this also printed because it gives people good suggestions of what they might want to try. All right. And then finally, the winemaker's notes. The winemaker's notes only print the bottles that you're going to share. So this is what I just, like if I'm doing sparkling brut, I'll take that and that'll be my first page. And then I might pick, red blend, and I might share that information. But all I do is I just make a packet of the 6 wines that I'm trying. I just print those. I staple it together in the order that I'm going to be sharing it. And I sit there and I read it. I might not read all the words, But if I don't have, I look at the bottle and I read the notes, but anything that I might miss, it's going to be on this paper. This is like a more in-depth about each bottle. So you guys have everything at your disposal to make it a successful event. They literally give you everything. If you want a script that's already created, the wine tasting script, all right, this is already done for you. It is word for word. All right. This is the one I use, not the one that I showed you before. So I do tasting begins, toast to the host, wine 2, the 3 S's of wine sipping. I show them how to swirl, sniff, and sip. Wine 3, your why and ONEHOPE story. Wine 4, booking. Wine 5, the lead form. And wine 6. Okay? So it's really, really simple. All right? So that's pretty much it. There's a lot of other printable things here that you can check out on the index. But that should give you a good place to start with your tastings. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? I know I went over a ton of information, but I am recording these, and hopefully the first section of this call before I got booted off actually recorded, and we can save those and pass them along. Does anybody have any questions though about tastings? No?
Yeah.
That was like a crash course in wine tasting. It seems like a lot that I just went over, but I wanted to make sure that you had a really good overview of everything. When you actually go to do it, it is like super easy. And it's not something that I have even rehearsed when I first started. I just printed the wine tasting script and I just ran with it. And I had my winemaker's notes. I save those. So get like a manila folder and save all the winemaker's notes of all the bottles that you print, because you're going to, use like the red blend multiple times. You'll use the Prosecco multiple times. So every time that you print one off, just save it. And then that way you don't have to print it. I know people too that use those plastic sleeves, and I put my wine tasting profile sheets in the plastic sleeves because I like to reuse them. And if people are spilling wine on them, then I can't. So you can always get like a box of those plastic sleeves and just put things in there. Okay. Any other questions at all? No? Ideas, questions, comments?
No. I was telling Wendy when you were off that I have a little binder. It's like one of the little ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the plastic sleeves, and I sent her all this stuff. Like I keep the winemaker's notes in it, the tasting sheet. I actually make the ones with like the prices and stuff, on them. And like you said, you have a couple of those. I make them into, I made like little catalogs. Like I took little mini, those metal rings, like the little ones, and I put them in the sleeves, and I made like catalogs so that, like you said, because otherwise people spill wine on them.
Yeah.
And I usually have like 4 of them. But I have like a little binder, and I just keep like the script and the notes and like just that information in there. And that's like my go binder. Or like if someone's like I did an informal one with my family a couple of weeks ago. Well, I just took my binder, I didn't follow necessarily the script, but I just took my binder and I had all the stuff right there.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Just create yourself a little binder of all the tools that you need. The things that are going to get spilled on, take those sleeves and put them in there so that you can constantly reuse them. And it might be a little bit of legwork up front to print these types of things, but once you have it printed, the party is just like seamless. Like it really, really is. It's so much fun. I definitely encourage you to try it. I know, Wendy, you have one scheduled. Definitely, just try it. And like I said, no one's going to know what you are doing wrong. They really won't, because they're not the CE. You are. As much as you feel like you might not be an expert on this yet, you are far more an expert on it than they are. So
And you have to remember they're drinking.
They're drinking.
They're drinking. Because Jenna did my party when she first started, and we felt bad because I'm in Indiana and she's in Pennsylvania. And we kept like forgetting that she was there on the iPad. And we'd be like, oh shoot, she's still here. Like, sorry. But I have to tell you, my mom and my sister came, And then I had friends that like had never met my my mom and stuff. And by the end of the night, my mom was talking to my friends about stuff that I'm like, Mom, like, what are you guys talking about? Like, what? But they had been drinking for like 3 hours. Like, the conversation was so funny. And I remember even telling Jenna, like, this is hilarious. These are like really funny by the time you get to the end. But like, I mean, we didn't know what Jenna was supposed to be saying, you know, like, we had no idea. And the conversation was hilarious by the end because people had been drinking for hours.
Yeah, and they do. And then at the end of it, you can just say if there's any wine left over, you're welcome to try everything all over again. You know, whatever you want to try, taste, ask questions, and it's really a blast. It really is a ton of fun. So embrace it, and you know, you'll learn little tips throughout it. But as long as you have your script printed, your winemaker's notes printed, the bottles you read right from them, you know, everything is there. We have everything already created. It's just a matter of taking the time to print it. Okay? All right, so I'm gonna head off, but if anybody needs any pictures, you know, anything that I have already created or words to say to hostesses, whatever it is, just message me and I will get you exactly what I use. You just copy it, paste it, put your own info into it, and you're good to go. Okay? Happy partying. I'm gonna stop the recording.